Welcome. I'd like to show some CT scans from the Data Science Bowl 2017. These are CT scans from the training set, and we know that for this particular CT scan this is a lung cancer case. So that means this subject was diagnosed with lung cancer within 1 year of the scan. And that means that it's likely that we can see something in this scan that is suspicious for being lung cancer. So what I'm doing is I'm scrolling through the scan. You can see this blue line here indicates the height at which I'm looking at the lung, and I'm showing the axial cross sections. And when you look at the lung, you see these branching vessel patterns, and basically your task is to look for bright things that are not vessels. Now, so this thing over here looks like a structure that's not a vessel, and this could be a tiny nodule, but it's too small to be of serious concern. This may also look like a nodule, but if you scroll through you see it's connected to this bony structure, so it's not a nodule. We can also look in the other directions. Now we look in the coronal plane. What you notice is that the image looks quite blurry. That has to do with the fact that these scans are quite thick slices, so the resolution is not so good if you look in the other directions. So let's switch back to the axial view, and then here I notice something that really doesn't look like a vessel. It's too big. If I scroll through it, this is a vessel which I can follow, see it branching, but this thing is not a vessel. And this structure here are not airways. So of course you see also airways in the lung. This is an airway that you can trace. But here I see three things in this bigger region that are apparently air filled, and that make this lesion even more suspicious. I can double click on this lesion, get a segmentation from the computer. The computer says that this is about 17 millimeter in diameter for an equivalent sphere, and this software also tells you that the probability that this is a lung cancer is around 30%. So this is a very suspicious lesion, and in this particular case this is likely to be the cancer. So let's load another case. This is a non-cancer case, so let's scroll through it and see if we notice anything suspicious. Well, here is a small periphyseal nodule. It's located on the fissure. This is generally benign. Here is a calcified nodule. The density of this nodule is much higher. If you look below here, the number, this is over 1000 Hounsfield units, so it's calcified, completely calcified, and that's benign. I see something here, no. It's a small indentation here, but it's also not so suspicious. Let's look what the computer found. That was this nodule. This is calcified nodule. Yeah, there's another very small nodule next to this other one. So nothing really suspicious in this scan. So this is another cancer case. Wow, and that's pretty clear, very suspicious lesion, very big. It's also spiculated. I think the segmentation should be a bit more irregular. Very big, almost 3 centimeters. Right upper lobe. There's also emphysema in the scan. Emphysema is these dark areas, destroyed lung tissue. So we can indicate this is a spiculated lesion, and that makes the probability for cancer very high, 77%. This model that we're using here was published in the New England Journal of Medicine in 2013 by the Canadian group, and they analyzed the nodules they found in their screening program. and they made a multivariate logistic regression model to predict for every individual nodule the probability that it is malignant. They had in total 7,000 nodules in their database, of which 100 were malignant, and they found that the predictors of cancer in the model included, well, older age, female sex, family history of lung cancer. These are patient characteristics that are actually not available for the challenge that we're dealing with, so you cannot use this information. Presence of emphysema makes the nodule more likely to be cancer. The most important factor is nodule size. Then if the location of the nodule is in the upper lobe, it's more likely to be cancerous. If it's a part solid nodule, we haven't seen those yet. Less nodules means that the probability for an individual nodule to be cancer is a bit higher. And finally, speculation. If the nodule looks speculated, it's more likely to be malignant. And you can plug these parameters into a formula, and that's the formula that we're using here, that's predicting that this nodule has a very high chance for being malignant. So let's open another benign case. So this case has a lot of cat marks, a bit of interstitial markings here. It's nothing really serious. Some line-like structures. Let's see if we see something. I'm just doing this quadrant by quadrant. So here I see a nodule. It's there, it's gone again, but it's a small one. In the lower lung fields there's also some interstitial markings. Maybe this could be thought of as a nodule, small pleural nodule. Maybe here, there is a nodule. So this case has many nodules, but no real big ones. Let's go over the cat marks. That is a false positive, again a bony structure. Yeah, so this is an interesting one. Look, this structure is not a vessel because it goes away and goes away again. So these things around it here are vessels that you can follow. And these are the difficult nodules to detect. They're a little bit hiding between vessels, and they're approximately similar in size to the vessels in the neighborhood. But if you look carefully, you can find it. In this case, the computer found it. It's almost 9 millimeter, so it's sizable. In this case, yeah, if we look in the other direction, we can also clearly see it's a nodule. This looks like it's the biggest nodule in this case. This is a false positive. That's a little nodule. Yeah, next to the heart. But these nodules are much smaller. This was the one we had already seen. This is a very small ground glass lesion here. So the biggest one is 8.7 millimeters in the right upper lobe, solid lesion. It has an 11% chance of being malignant. So although we saw many nodules in this case, not a cancer case, there was not a really nodule that stood out as being very suspicious. But if this nodule would grow in a follow-up scan, then it would be really suspicious for being cancer. If it would be stable, then it's probably a benign finding. Let's load another scan. This is another cancer case, and you immediately see some scar tissue in the right upper lobe. As you can see in the coronal view, it's very flat. This is unlikely to be cancer. A lot of smokers have these type of fibrotic lesions in the upper lobe, and that's also the cat mark that the computer found, but I think this is not very suspicious. This lesion looks quite suspicious. Clearly that's not a vessel. looks a bit part solid maybe. Yeah, the computer says this is a semi-solid lesion with a solid inner core and a more subsolid outer core, and this lesion has high chance for being malignant. This was this other lesion, which I think is nothing, and apart from that, yeah, there's a small nodule here. That's not that suspicious, and the other things are, yeah, again something in the upper lobe. This is not, yeah, this is a nodule, but it's a very small one. So this is the suspicious lesion in this case. And try to load another scan. That is also a cancer case. Well, and here you see that the computer has found a big lesion. I immediately see here something, and yeah, this is a very, very big lesion. It's probably even too big to properly segment, with a satellite lesion next to it, and these lesions are highly suspicious. Let's try to load another non-cancer case. 7. All these are cancer cases, so this should be a non-cancer case. 506. Well, this is a non-cancer case, but also some findings. Yeah, it's a very bad scan. Motion artifacts probably. Very hazy appearance. Could also be some ground glass. I don't think this is a nodule. I think it's all vessels with a bit of motion. There's an airway next to it. I don't see it's a nodule. And this is also, the computer is a bit confused because of all the motion and the thick slice data. This is not ideal quality data. It's also nothing. This is also just a vascular structure. So as you can see, in a lot of emphysema here again. In many of the non-cancer cases, no real suspicious lesions can be found. This is another cancer case, which I found interesting because I couldn't really find a very suspicious lesion in this scan, and the computer has indicated this, but that's a false positive. I found this small calcified nodule. Again, it's calcified because it's too dense. Another small calcified nodule. And this is the only lesion that, it's probably ground glass lesion, that I can see here. And yeah, the probability of malignancy is 20%, but it's not a particularly suspicious lesion. But it could be that this lesion has been growing compared to the previous scan. So you have to be aware that there are cases in this challenge where the nodule is not super suspicious, but it still can be a cancer case. This is another non-cancer case. Well, we see emphysema. Very small nodule there. Oh, and here's a big lesion in the lower lobe, but it's not a cancer case, so this must be a benign lesion. Let's load the next case. That is a cancer case, and yeah, here we see very suspicious lesion with a bubble in it, quite big. Let's see, that's probably also the mark that the computer gave. Yeah. Well, you can go on forever. We'll do one more. This is a cancer case. And let's go. Oh, we immediately see a large nodule, but this is a calcified nodule, so this is a benign finding. Oh, but there is a really big lesion, which I think you should segment a bit more generously. Yeah. But behind the aorta you have this very suspicious nodule. You can also see it very well in the coronal view or in the sagittal view, where you can also see that the segmentation like this is not perfect. This is a better segmentation. So I hope this video was useful in understanding a little bit better what to look for in the CT scans in the Data Science Bowl 2017.